Great. Welcome everybody to Dan Teaches, Digital Asset News. Take his top stories in crypto, bring down a bite-sized pieces. So today there's so much information that's going on out there. Let's just jump right in. So first we're gonna take a look at the markets, and we'll talk about a little teeter-totter action. And then just like the thumbnail and title suggests, we're gonna take a look at Bitcoin, hash ribbons, and some other indicators that I think you might want to add into your arsenal of taking a look at where the market is going. And all these indicators are 100% free. Also, we'll take a look at the Cardano testnet for the Vasil upgrade. And to me, I know people are talking about how awful these things are. To me, I'm like, this is great news. It pretty much did its job. Then we'll take a look at World Mobile Token and how they're potentially working together with Elon Musk's Starlink. And then finally, we'll take a look at some good news, which is Simon Dixon is on the job for Celsius and Voyager as he meets with the president of El Salvador and taking a look at some different options. And then after that, we'll do a little Q&A. So first of all, thanks everybody for joining me on a Saturday. Yesterday was a difficult, long day for me. So I had a lot of different things going on. Just couldn't make a stream, but we are here right now and off we go. So first things first, let's take a look at the markets and see where we're at. And yesterday, I was so busy I didn't even check the markets until later in the day. I'm like, wow, what a pullback. Some might say it's a crash. Some might say it's just a correction. Some might say it's a pullback. It is what it is. And the market's down. Let's just say that's exactly what's going on. Bitcoin's down 13% for the week, quite a bit. And not to be outdone, Ethereum's like, hold my beer. I'll go down 17%. Tether's nobody, not a big deal. Binance Coin, 12%, 10%, 16%. Wow, 21% for Solana. That's the real hold my beer type of thing. Wow, 21% for the week. Pretty crazy. And that's what's going on. And there was a slew of videos yesterday about why the market dumped and what's going on. Frankly, I don't really care. These are just pullbacks. These are normal. If you're a day trader, this is like an opportunity to make a bunch of money or lose a bunch of money. I'm not that guy. I'm just an investor. So for me, I'm just like, great. The only thing that changed for me was that when my dollar cost averaging notifications went off, just went off without a hitch, and they were automatic. And I bought some pretty cheap Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a bunch of other alts that were extremely cheap. So I was like, it was a great day. So that's what's going on in the market. And then as we take a look at the market, you can tell that, really what you want to do, and why I call this the teeter-totter method, is you want to, as something goes down, you want another part of your portfolio to go up. So like if the housing market goes down, because we invest into real estate, me and the wife, maybe you want your crypto to go up. Or if your crypto goes down, maybe you want the housing market to go up, and vice versa. Now, me personally, I've got a bunch of different scenarios or different parts of my portfolio: land, property, Amazon business, staking, stable coins, I trust capital. But the one that I've been trying to use more of is Masterworks, which is investing into fractionalized shares of fine art. I got two. I got a Banksy and a Basquiat, not perfect. I own all of them. I'm just owning fractionalized shares. And I just got this email not too long ago. This is on July 15th. And the Basquiat that I own, or shares of it, I'm up 40% for the year. So I'm like, well, it's not a big deal to me. And I got to tell you, Masterworks does a pretty good job as far as like the annualized returns. Here's the Banksys all the way to different art pieces. I have no idea what they are because I'm not a person who really gets into art. I'm just an investor. But just so you know, over the last year or so, Masterworks has outperformed crypto in some parts, and Russell, NASDAQ, and S&P 500. So just keep that in mind. Also, it is registered with the SEC because these are securities. And I got to tell you, it's like a peace of mind knowing that it's registered with the SEC, so they can't come down on you for owning unregistered securities. So if you're looking to take a deeper look in that, I did a deep dive, and links in the description. So that's what's going on as far as the markets and teeter-totter. Let's jump into, it's not the top story, but it's just something that caught my attention today. And there's a website. Again, there's a link in the description. It's just Look Into Bitcoin, or you can just find it by just typing in lookintobitcoin.com. And it's a 100% free website, but I sign up for these notifications just because, frankly, I'm lazy. And I like to have notifications coming because there's so much going on. And, I forget more than I remember these days. So like these are nice to have these reminders. You don't have to just go to look into Bitcoin. You can find all these indicators. But there was four hash ribbons. There was the rainbow price chart indicator, MVRV, and realized price. And it just kind of shows you, kind of where we're going. And I'd never have seen this one before. I thought it was pretty cool. Hash ribbons indicator. First of all, what the heck is that? Hash ribbons indicator tries to identify periods where Bitcoin miners are in distress and may be capitulating. There can be periods after the price of Bitcoin rallied and then pulls back that some miners struggle to financially continue in the short term. When this happens, they turn off their mining rigs, which makes sense, right? If you can't sell for a good amount of money and your electricity costs are going up, especially, I've heard some pretty scary stories, Western Europe, Australia, Canada, even here in Texas, electricity is going up, an amazing amount. So this might be an opportunity because not all the miners can turn it on. So when miners give up, it is possibly the most powerful Bitcoin buy signal ever. That's debatable, but it sounds good. This indicator does not try to time the perfect bottom in price. And I think that's a big thing because no one really can time it perfectly. But if we take a look at the indicator right now, just going back, like if you went to July 4th, I'll just show you what it is. The hash rate, 30-day moving average, hash rate 60. It's like the purple and blue. When this starts to go down, it's because the price is going down, obviously, right? And it'll go down until, the miners can turn everything back on. If you would have timed this pretty well, you could have bought in at 35,000, rode it all the way up to, where are we? All the way up here. Jeez Louise. 65,000, 40,000, and then gotten out. Actually 57,000. Because at some point, there comes a point where it's like it's just too much. And then people or the miners, they have a little bit of money left over and they'll keep it going. But as you can see right here, we took a pretty big drop down because the price has gone down. So maybe this might be an indicator as it turns down that it's a buy signal. But you can't just use one. That's why I like other things like this rainbow price chart indicator. It'll tell you like when's a buy, and it's very simple because it's colors. It takes moving averages and things like that. And it goes from fire sale to buy to accumulate all the way up to maximum bubble in the red. And right now we went down into the fire sale category, which is like the bigger buy signal that you can have. Now, does that mean it can't go lower? No, it can go lower. Like it's done that before. Here's at 19,310. And of course, right now it's at 20,931. So, it could go to, 17, 16, 15. But for me, I just feel like, this is a good time to buy as opposed to like, when it's going up into this red area, that's not a good idea for me to buy at that point, even though you could have got 13,000. Depends on your time frame. Also, the MVRV score, again, very simple. When it gets into the pinkish, maybe it's a good idea to sell. In the green, it's even a negative. So this might be a good buy signal. And then the realized value. And you can just tell once it goes below these averages, which it is now, 21,000, 20,000, could be a pretty good idea to take a look at and buy. And again, for me, I don't trade. I don't go back and forth. I just accumulate. And then once things start to get overheated, then I start to think about selling. But that's what we got. And just something you can add into your repertoire of things that you want to look at. But the link is in the description. You can check those out. So let me know what you think about those. And let's jump into some, I don't know how you would classify this as news or not news or good news or bad news. This is from Charles Hoskinson. From Cardano Foundation. And there's been some different videos and let's just be honest. There's been different publications that have called this an outright. They say, I think it's like, they said it was a catastrophic disaster or something like that. And Charles, he comes on and does his AMA, as he usually does. And it was just odd that this one was a little bit more perturbed than usual, but it is what it is. And as I'm listening to all these different sides about, the testnet being a failure and they had to move forward and the different upgrades had to be pushed back a little bit, I just started to think about it very simply. I'm like, isn't that the job of the testnet? Just to find out all the screw ups and then go, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's move forward. And then, okay, that didn't work. Let's move forward. And I'm like, that's what it's supposed to do, right? Am I wrong here? I mean, that's the whole point of the testnet. So I look at this like people say, well, it's a catastrophic failure. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be done. So it looks like as opposed, and I think I linked this in the description, as opposed to the failure, they are moving forward. And then just so everybody knows, for us, let me scroll on here. We have our own stake pool, the D-News stake pool. And I talked to the guys about it and they're like, yeah, we're moving into that direction right now, but we haven't upgraded yet because we were waiting for these things to bounce around. So I found it interesting that I think this is how decentralization is supposed to work. I'm thinking is that what a Cardano Foundation does is they have open dialogue with the node operators or the SPOs. And those guys and gals say, okay, this looks pretty safe, or we want some more testing. And then they have some more testing. And then they figured out all the bugs and they move forward. And they all have to, over 75% have to agree to move forward. So right now we're just looking at all the SPOs and what they're saying, and looks like we're starting to move forward with this. But I just thought, I'm like, well, that's pretty much how it is. So I know, we'll come out and say, well, Cardano's very slow and this and that. I don't really care. Because after I see all the hacks and the shutdowns and the bridges and the issues, I just read an article that over $2 billion worth of hacks have been done on bridges and among other DeFi projects. I'm like, well, if that's the case, then maybe we should move a little bit slower. I know some people don't like that, but it's a safer option and I got time. So anyhow, I think this is a good news for Cardano moving forward. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. I just don't see a problem here. Maybe I'm wrong. And then speaking of Cardano, this will lead me to my next one, which I probably should have led off with this story. Cardano Foundation has a project built on it called World Mobile Token, and we have done a couple of different videos on those. You can find those on YouTube somewhere. It depends on the algorithm if it shows up on your feed or not. Or you can just go to Dan Teaches Crypto. It's 100% free, and I keep everything in here. And there's no ads when you want to watch all these project reviews and things like that. But this was the first one we did with, it was me and Mickey Watkins talked about World Mobile. About 24 minutes. It's a deep dive into what it actually is. And then we just did one about a week ago or so about for the updates. And it was pretty interesting. And Mickey had talked about that they have the World Mobile Token Scan out, wmtscan.com. Again, links in the description. And you can just see that this is an actual real working product where they're bringing connectivity to people in Zanzibar, South and Central, and the African countries. And I mean, things are moving along. That's all I can say. Which is a lot better than I think some of these projects that say they're going to do things and they don't have it working product yet. So anyhow, this is actually up and running. They've got almost 1,000 gigabytes of network consumption in the last 24 hours. They have 7,000 users looking to scale. Things are moving along. And there was this piece they put out called a deployment diary. And this was just on August 19th. I think today's the 20th. This is yesterday. And somebody brought it to my attention, Dickle Pickle, something or other on YouTube. Thank you. And it said this, team updates, August 2022. And I reached out to Mickey, and since he's in Spain, I don't know what time it is over in Spain, but he said there's somebody with the team's like, I'll let Mickey talk to you about that, what's going on. But promotional, it says here, promotional video eminent on the World Mobile working together with Starlink. I'm like, that's pretty interesting, because when we did this video, me and Mickey, with this World Mobile Token update, a lot of people are asking the same question, which was, hey, isn't this exactly what Starlink's doing? Is this what Starlink's doing? I'm like, well, yeah, kinda. I mean, it is. It's, but it's mostly about giving internet to the masses who cannot get an internet service. But like, if you go to Starlink, let me just do this. Like, let's see. I don't know. This is like whatever. La Quinta, California. If you take a look at the price and you want to order it, you're looking at the hardware $600, shipping and handling is $50, taxes $56, the service is $110 a month, and it's $99 due today. So, I mean, that's just in California. I don't know how much it would cost in different areas. Let me see if they have it. Yeah. In Chihuahua. Well, let's just see. Chihuahua, Mexico. I wonder how much that would be. I didn't know there was a Chihuahua. Zanzibar, Chihuahua. Some pesos. Well, it's usually about, damn, it's a lot of money. Still. 14,000. Okay. So that's how much we know. So like when they're talking about like, well, how does it work out with Starlink and World Mobile? Well, the thing is that with these two, like World Mobile isn't charging that much because they're in African countries and they're trying to bring this to the masses. And that's why they partnered up with Cardano. So I'll let you all know once I hear about it and once Mickey gets back to me. But that's what we got. And it's an interesting concept that they're actually going to work together. So again, I know we had talked about this project over a year ago. And of course, it was a little bit slow. It took a little bit of time. But if this is true, then that's the whole thing about being an investor. Sometimes you have to plant those seeds and then water them before it actually bears any kind of crop, and then you harvest later. So just takes time. That's about it. Anyhow, that's what, let me know what you think about that in comments, and then let's talk about some good news. Some good news, I think. And it's a friend of the show, Simon Dixon from Bank to the Future. And he met with Presidente Bukele from El Salvador. And he just says, me, myself, and the president and the team are cooking up a number of recovery plans in El Salvador for global distressed Bitcoin lending companies. Can be an amazing opportunity for all affected when you have the perfect leadership, laws, and Bitcoin. So I don't know if it's like someone says, is this going to be Celsius going to be bought out by El Salvador or something like that? Usually that's not what they're talking about. Usually what they did before was they had some certain economic incentives for people to invest into these distressed companies. And it's a little bit more riskier, but then over time, again, 1, 2, 3 years, then of course, you're able to reap those rewards that you're doing. So I wonder if they're working together with El Salvador, because I know that Celsius is also doing Bitcoin mining. They just got the approval to use those Bitcoin miners and sell the Bitcoin that they mine to pay back the depositors. So we'll see how it happens, but I think that's a step in the right direction. And I got to tell you, if there's anybody that's really working to move this along, especially for people who got screwed over by Celsius, myself included, I like to see these types of things, and hopefully it equals out to something that's a lot more positive. So that's a good thing. And then lastly, I just want to bring like a PSA to everybody. I had talked about this project, over a year ago, shopping.io. And I don't know if you own it. Probably the majority of you do not. But just so you know, they're going to do a token migration, and they're going to go from SPI and GSPI, which is their governance token, and now it's going to be called SHOP. And just so you know, if you own any SHOP.io or SPI or GSPI, the snapshot will be on September 9th. Prior to the snapshot and distribution of the new token SHOP, all liquidity will be pulled from GSPI supported exchanges with the delisting. So if you have on exchanges, you can't have it there because it'll be delisted and you'll lose pretty much everything you invested into as far as SPI and GSPI. I hate these types of things. I despise them. This is what I got into some project. I forgot what it was called. Zero Exchange. And of course, I didn't keep up with it. I lost like good 5 figures, mid 5 figures, because I didn't pay attention because they did some kind of stupid token migration, something other. So I'm just letting you know in case you know this. So SHOP's distribution will occur in the form of an airdrop directly to Web3 wallets. So this is the breakdown. 90% of holders of SPI and GSPI, 7% Shopverse, 3% liquidity centralized exchanges or DEXs, and the initial supply of SHOP will be 100 million. I'll get to that in a second. Token holder requirements to receive the new token. Here's what you got to have. You can't have it in exchanges. If you have it in a Web3 wallet like MetaMask or Trust, if you got it currently staked as far as G and SPI. If you've got it on a hardware wallet or a cold wallet, you're good. But if you have it on any exchanges or you have any kind of staking rewards, you have to pull those. CC tip wallets, I don't know what the heck that is. And then the shopping.io tip bot, I guess if the 0.01% of you that have that, just know that you won't get the new token. So if you're on exchanges, put into a Web3 wallet or a cold wallet or something like that. And then lastly, one of the big perks I felt for this one was, I mean, they're working with Amazon, they're working with Walmart, and you can get discounts on the things that you buy online. And that was pretty cool. But the big thing was, to me, was the circulating supply. And the circulating supply of this token, it was a whopping 1 million. That's it. That was it. It was a 1 million token supply. And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. It's not like 20,000 bajillion tokens. So I was like, well, there's a little bit of scarcity in that. I like that. And now there's going to be 100 million. I'm sure there's a reason for that. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it. So that's what's going on. So anyhow, that's what's going on. A little PSA for everybody. So in case they're like, maybe I should check my shopping IO tokens if you haven't got rid of them already. That's what's going on. So that's it. That's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, all that good stuff. Now we'll go into my favorite part, which is the Q&A. I'll answer all your questions the best of my abilities as we go. If you got to get out of here, get out of here. It's Saturday. Go enjoy the day. I appreciate you stopping by. So let's jump into the Q&A.